You are listening to Julia's Trucking Cafe News Hour. And welcome to Julia's Trucking Cafe Trucking News Hour. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so happy that you're here and that you want to listen to the trucking news. As always, I have lots of news to get to, so let's get right to it. In this story, Navistars IT system struck by cyber attack. U.S. truck maker Navistar disclosed that the company had fallen victim to a cyber attack. This happened Monday, June 7th, when they disclosed that the company, quote, learned of a credible potential cybersecurity threat to its information technology system, or IT system as is well known. This happened on May 20th, 2021. So they announced it on June 7th. It actually happened on May 20th. In a filing with the United States Security and Exchange Commission, SEC, Navistar said the company launched an investigation and undertook immediate action to respond to the attack, engaging internal and external experts to help respond. Navistar says that the company's systems remained fully operational. The company says that on May 31st, they received a claim that, quote, certain data had been extracted from their IT system. Navistar says they are working with law enforcement and third-party cybersecurity experts to address this threat. Navistar is not the only company to fall victim to cyber attacks in recent weeks. May attack, as we know, on the Colonial Pipeline impacted the fuel supply chain and prompted the FMCSA to issue an emergency declaration for truckers hauling fuel. JBS, one of the world's largest meat producers, also fell victim to a cyber attack, which I did not know about. And up next, multiple roads in Arizona are closed for wildfires. The Arizona Department of Transportation has closed several roads due to wildfires. The two major wildfires erupted in Arizona: the Mescal Fire east of Phoenix and Telegraph Fire, which is burning near Top of the World. The fires have burned through tens of thousands of acres in just a couple of days and have triggered evacuation warnings. Due to the two wildfires, the Arizona DOT closed the following roadways: US 60, State Route 77, State Route 177, and State Route 70. Arizona DOT says that there is no estimated time for the roads to reopen. For the latest road closure information, you could visit az511.gov. That is A, capital Z, 511, the numbers, .gov. And a 4-vehicle, 5-person injury crash sends a semi-truck rolling into a yard. A crash involving 4 vehicles, including a semi-truck, sent 1 person to the hospital and injured 4 more in Colorado. This happened June 7th, right around Commerce City. According to the local news, the crash happened along Highway 2 between 88th Avenue and 104th Avenue and involved a fuel tanker which ended up in a nearby yard. The fire department responded to a multi-vehicle crash, and 4 vehicles were involved, including a rolled semi-truck. 1 person injured, extricated to the hospital, and 4 treated and released. The details surrounding the cause of the crash are not clear. Highway 2 was expected to remain closed for an extended period of time, especially with a gasoline tanker to clean up that mess. And Sacramento area will soon experience the worst closure ever. That started June 11th. A construction project that will fully close a 4-mile section of Highway 99 through Sacramento will begin. And officials are warning locals to brace themselves. And that happened until June 16th. According to the local paper, the major shutdown is part of the Fix SAC 99 project, which completed essential repairs on a bridge deck of the freeway, which is already 62 years old. The construction project is considered a preventative measure to extend the roadway's lifespan and keep emergency operations from becoming necessary, quotes. Quote, there is currently corrosion on the surface deck, concrete spalling, whatever that means, cracks, the joint seals need to be replaced, and the bridge deck has begun to deteriorate due to wear and tear from high traffic volumes, freight movement, weather, and age. Well, yeah, I deteriorate too after 62 years. Hell, I'm deteriorating after 57 years. Caltrans, which is California Transportation Authority, says they will be using innovative accelerated bridge construction techniques. Okay, a lot of jargon. Says that the contracted company, Bridgeway Civil Constructors, will be precast and inspect the girders off-site away from the construction site, then haul the girders to the location of the bridge deck where crews will bind the girders together and overlay the deck. In other words, pour concrete over everything. Although closure shutting down both directions of a major highway for 4 days and some change may seem drastic, officials say that this is a sort of a rip the Band-Aid strategy and that it will avoid the inconvenience of 6 months worth of long partial closures. Quote, this will be the largest closure Sacramento region had ever seen because of the enormity of the project. They will halt all other Sacramento freeway work throughout the duration of this Highway 99 repair. And which is, time of this recording is already done, so we really don't need to worry about it. And if I wasn't playing catch up, you would think actually I was having a good day. So I'm always playing catch up with this show. Okay, and up next, Secure Your Load Day observances happened in June. The FMCSA, along with state governments and police forces, are urging drivers to pay close attention this week as a part of National Secure Your Load Day, which happened the 6th of June. In fact, the issue of load securement is so prevalent among motorists that the Utah Highway Patrol says they received at least 70 calls a day reporting debris in the road, debris that could sometimes have fatal consequences. Yeah, like garbage trucks not closing their top and garbage is flying everywhere. According to the Utah Highway Patrol, in order to properly secure a load, drivers should do the following, which they should learn in truck driving school. Tie down a load with rope, netting, or straps. Tie large objects directly to the vehicle or trailer. Oh, and it's not always flatbeds that are doing this, by the way, while I'm reading this list. What about the lawn care debris that always flies all over the road? Leaves, branches, and this kind of thing. Back to the list. Cover the entire load with a sturdy tarp or netting. Don't overload the vehicle. Always double check load to make sure it is secure. Don't trust weathered or worn straps and bungee cords. In addition to these tips, officials also advise that drivers maintain a especially safe following distance while hauling materials. And also, what about these painters, contractors, and everything that haul scaffolding, haul ladders? So it isn't just us commercial vehicles. They're still considered commercial vehicles as well. So, I mean, they need, if they're going to get on people, which, they got, in this picture, you see, they got a guy pulled over that looked like he's hauling scaffolding and such, to go to a job. That's the ones that they need to get onto, because they're not trained to strap down a load or anything. They just throw some straps on, kind of tighten it down a little bit and think it's good to go. And in this story, a former employee arrested on multiple arson charges following a fire at a trucking company. Officials in West Virginia say that a former trucking company employee has been arrested in connection with a fire that caused tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage. Elwood, or Lynn Hebb, 45, turned himself into police on June 3rd, following a 13-month investigation by the West Virginia State Fire Marshal's Office and the West Virginia State Police into a fire at Anytime Trucking Company in Elkins, West Virginia. He was formerly employed by the trucking company. A fire occurred on May 25th and resulted in almost $60,000 in damages to property. Hebb has been charged with 1 count of first-degree arson, 3 counts of third-degree arson, and 1 count of burning insured property, and 1 count of conspiracy. is being held on a $100,000 cash-only bond. The investigation into the fire is ongoing, and anyone with more information is asked to call the West Virginia State Fire Incident Hotline, where you could reach them at 800-233-3473. That's 800-233-3473. And up next, take a look at this impressive U.S. Air Force plane heavy haul, which you could see this photo either in the video or in the article that I'll have in the show notes. Below this article, there is a video that features an impressive heavy haul job involved a returned U.S. Air Force plane. It was shared by Red Home Aviation on June 5th of 2021. In the video, the heavy haul team at Burrard Transportation helps to move a retired plane from Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma to the National Institute for Aviation Research at Wichita State University. So that's kind of cool. And again, I just don't like posting videos because of the fact that I'm, getting copyright strike, at least to do it. And there again, it extends out the show too long. I mean, this could be a 2-hour show. So if I do every single video that I come across, which anymore in the news, my news source is doing that a lot. And up next, in this story, motorists are getting too comfortable, quote, driving around semi-trucks, said Maine authorities. More than 230 crashes involving semi-trucks have been recorded in Maine in 2021 alone. But state and city officials know that truckers are not to blame, and that's where the state's most recent safe driving campaign comes in. Although 230 of this year's crashes have involved commercial trucks, officials and industry experts say that the motorists are typically the parties responsible for the unfortunate incidents, meaning cars. Quote, what we're finding is people get too comfortable around large commercial vehicles, end quote, said Scott Clark of Savage Safe Handling, who teaches truckers defensive driving. Quote, what they don't realize the effect it has on those vehicles when they do something unfavorable or stupid, like take away stopping distance or cutting them off. Things of that nature, he continued. Clark says that truckers are often forced into making tough driving decisions because of the ignorance and arrogance, that's what I put in, and poor choices of motorists around them. Quote, when our drivers lose the stopping distance, they have a decision to make really quickly. Do they go off the road, potentially harm the vehicle, get injured themselves? Do they hit the vehicle in front of them and possibly injure, even kill that driver? So our drivers have split seconds to make major decisions. Let's see, Mr. What was your name again? Mr. Savage, or Mr. Clark, I'm sorry. We've been knowing that for years now. In fact, in Maine alone, at least 50%, back to the article, sorry. In fact, in Maine alone, at least 57% of crashes involving a commercial vehicle can be attributed, at least in part, to the actions of the car involved in the wreck, or pickup truck. They call it a motorist. According to Maine State Police, that's a higher motorist at fault percentage than in most states. Quote, the percentage of passenger cars having a negative effect on a commercial vehicle is higher in Maine, statistically, than any place else, Lieutenant Hayden said. Quote, people have a lot more distractions in a vehicle, I think. There's more cars on the road today. I also believe that there's a lot of people that are growing up where they're not around big trucks and buses and things like that anymore. And they really don't understand the stopping distance and the views that their drivers have. The semis have a very, very tough job. As a reminder, a typical car going 65 miles an hour needs approximately 300 feet to come to a complete stop. A fully loaded semi going 65 miles an hour needs about twice that. I say 700 feet to stop. They say in the article 600. Clark says that if 4 cars could just keep this fact in mind next time they head out onto the road, everyone would be just a little bit safer. Quote, we just need people not to hover around large vehicles, commercial vehicles, try to get beyond them, either in front of them or behind them. preferably behind them, because in front of us, you're going to get squished. And I have friends of mine tell me, well, I can't see. Then back off. If you can't see around a semi-truck, back off. Then you're too damn close. And, or and don't clip them. This kind of thing, which, they'd know better, but because of my driving experiences and stuff. But, yeah, there's no sense to cut our bumper off, because our truck is cost about as much as your house. So, you really want to lose your house because you cut us off to have to pay for a bumper and everything? I don't think your insurance carrier would appreciate that too much. And up next, PETA is to erect a new billboard in honor of chickens lost in a snap strap incident. PETA will be placing a billboard near the site of a recent big rig accident involving chickens, according to a recent press release. This is going up in Goshen, Indiana, when a big rig took a turn, causing the strap securing the chicken cages in place to snap. Yeah, he was going too fast. The broken straps allowed the cages to fall off of the trailer, killing some of the chickens and traumatizing, air quotes, others. Luckily, the truck driver was not hurt in the incident, but PETA says that new billboard will be erected at the intersection of 3rd and Main Street and will feature an image of a chicken with the words, "I'm me, not meat. See the individual, go vegan." OMG. Quote, "Birds died in terror and agony." Chickens don't have any feelings. As a result of this crash, and the traumatized survivors were hauled off for their throats to be slit and their bodies carved up for food, said PETA Executive Vice President Tracy Ryman. Tracy, get a life. PETA's ad encourages anyone disturbed by the thought of animals suffering on the side of the road or under the slaughterhouse knife to go vegan. OMG, like chickens have feelings. They are raised for food. PETA says that there have been 37 crashes involving semi-trucks hauling animals used for food in the U.S. 2021 so far. I should go to their funeral. Not. Sorry, I'm a farm girl. I like chicken. I like beef. They're raised to butcher, to slaughter. I'm gonna eat them. I like my steak. Anyway, I digress. Sorry. Truckers discover body of Illinois man, here you go, inside a gas tanker after food of slaughtered chickens. Now we get to find a dead body. How about that? Authorities in Illinois are investigating after a man's body was discovered inside of a gas tanker. The body was discovered around 10 in the morning on June 4th at a gas transfer hub near Buckley, Illinois. Coroner Bill Cheatham said that the body was discovered after 2 truck drivers noticed problems with unloading fuel from the tanker for a couple of days. Wait, what? The truckers reportedly looked into the tanker, discovered the body inside, and then called 911. Multiple agencies, including the county sheriff's department, county coroner, a hazmat team, and state police, responded to the scene. The body was identified as Garrett Mayer, 29, of Nashville, Illinois. Cheatham did not provide information on how long the body had been in the tanker or whether foul play was suspected. An autopsy was performed on Saturday, and the toxicology results were pending. The incident remains under investigation at the time of this recording. And up next, President of Tesla steps down ahead of expected electric semi launch. A longtime Tesla executive and recently appointed president of Tesla Heavy Trucking Unit has left the company ahead of the expected electric semi release. Jerome Gullion started with Tesla as a Model S program director back in 2010 and oversaw Tesla's entire vehicle business until he was appointed president of the Tesla Heavy Trucking Unit in March of this year. Now, just 3 months after his new appointment, Gullion has left the company entirely. Goulian's departure is a negative, given Goulian previously viewed as central to Tesla, said an analyst, Dan Levy. Goulian was arguably key in stabilizing auto business Model 3 launch, although no official word has been given regarding a further postponement of the electric Tesla semi-truck deliveries. Battery cell supply constraints may force the company to again push back the release date, this time to 2022. This would not be the first time the release of the Tesla electric semi-truck has been pushed back. In 2017, Musk predicted the rig would be ready by 2019. That hasn't come to fruition. And in this story, a trucker is killed in a chain reaction crash, which was triggered, they claim, by a cow. Texas authorities have confirmed that a truck driver lost his life in a multi-vehicle crash in the eastern part of the state on Tuesday, June 8th. This happened around 2:30 in the morning. According to Texas Department of Public Safety, a semi-truck traveling west on I-30 struck a cow, lost control, crossed over the eastbound lane where it was struck by a Chevy Malibu. The truck then proceeded to roll over in the eastbound lane, and a second semi-truck traveling east on I-30 drove through the rolled trailer and caught on fire. A third semi-truck driver who was eastbound on I-30 swerved to avoid the crashed vehicles, but struck the detached rear axle of the rolled truck. Driver of the second semi that crashed through the rolled trailer was killed. 3 other people were hospitalized with injuries, but are expected to survive. The driver who struck the cow wasn't injured. Eastbound I-30 remained closed that day, causing heavy traffic backups. And our thoughts and prayers are with the family of the second truck driver that hit the rolled over rig. And up next, Connecticut lawmakers have passed a truck-only highway user tax. Connecticut lawmakers have ruled in favor of a bill to generate $90 million per year for road repairs by charging large commercial vehicles a roadway user fee. A measure to implement a highway user fee for trucks was passed at the Connecticut House of Representatives by an 88-59 vote. The measure was approved in the Senate by a 22-14 vote. The bill would create a new highway user fee for vehicles weighing more than 26,000 pounds based on the number of miles traveled within the state. According to the text of the bill, motor carriers would be responsible for calculating the number of miles traveled each eligible truck in operation. Miles traveled would be multiplied by a tax rate based on the gross weight of the vehicle to calculate how much the carriers owe. So in other words, you need to start, when you come into Connecticut, you need to write down your mileage. And when you leave Connecticut, you need to write down your mileage. Then you need to write down your gross weight on that trip of your vehicle. And then they're going to figure out how much your company's owed in taxes. Fees could range from 2.5 cents per mile for vehicles weighing 26,000 pounds to 28,000 pounds, and up to 17.5 cents per mile for trucks weighing over 80,000 pounds. The truck-only highway user fee would go into effect in January of 2023. The bill would provide an exemption from the fee for trucks transporting dairy products. Lawmakers say that the bill is expected to generate over $90 million per year to fund infrastructure improvements, which it ain't going to. It's going to pad the damn pockets of the doggone people in the government. Well, I'm sure it is. The bill is now headed to the governor, Ned Lamont, to be signed into law. 2018, Lamont campaigned for office on a controversial plan to impose truck-only tolls. After he was elected in the face of harsh criticism from trucking groups and anti-tolling groups, Lamont backed off from the plan, admitting in an op-ed that the truck-only option provides too little revenue, too slowly, and too piecemeal to make a meaningful difference. After Lamont took office in 2019, he announced a new plan to toll both cars and trucks, which he succumbed to the pressure from the House Democrats to drop the cars on it. Noise. Sorry, I was just saying that tried to record the show without having my APU running for the AC, but it got to 86 degrees inside the truck, and I just couldn't do it anymore, so I had to turn the APU back on, so I apologize for the background noise. Up next, a Maryland truck stop to receive a major makeover. Plans for the renovation of a truck stop complex were okayed by the Planning Commission in Maryland this week. A truck stop complex is located at 436 East Main Street in Maryland off of Interstate 70 at Exit 3. Currently, the truck stop features a restaurant and fueling station, but the new site plans for an extensive convenience store, an IHOP restaurant, a large Burger King, and more than 40 truck parking spaces. Quote, all of this is going to be new construction, said Ashley Holloway, Director of Plan Reviewing and Permitting. In addition to the truck stop complex, plans for a truck parking area with 109 spaces just down the street on Governor Lane Boulevard have been okayed. Between the truck stop plaza and the new truck parking lot, at least 149 new truck parking spots will soon be available in the area. So that's the old Liberty truck stop. And Little Sandy's restaurant. It was kind of a rundown place, and I guess it was closed. So now that's going to be completely revamped. And here in this story, dump truck appears to drive away without a scratch following a wreck that obliterated a semi-cab. A trucker was seriously injured after slamming into a dump truck in Wisconsin. This happened on June 8th near Horicon just before 10 in the morning, and it was on a 2-lane highway. According to the local news, a dump truck was stopped in the westbound lane of Highway 33 between Highway 26 and Horicon for construction when a semi-truck slammed into it. The force of the impact obliterated the cab of the semi and seriously injured the driver, who was transported to a nearby hospital. Not paying attention. The dump truck driver was uninjured, and the dump truck appears to have sustained very little damage. Well, yeah, it's steel compared to fiberglass. Highway 33 was shut down for approximately 6 hours as crews worked to clear the wreckage. And up next, an overturned semi-truck lands squarely on top of a passing four-wheeler. Semi-truck overturned and landed directly on top of a nearby car in the state of Oregon. This happened in Portland around 4:30 on June 9th. The crash happened on Interstate 5 northbound between Highway 217 and Terwilliger Boulevard and shut down the highway for almost 6 hours. Yeah, he laid it across the whole damn interstate. And a covered wagon coming up, or I should say a large raised dump bed, like a 30-yard dump bed or so, 48-yard dump bed, was coming in behind him and almost hit him. Miraculously, no one was killed in the wreck, but the extent of the injuries sustained in the incident were not clear. And so here, PETA, you're worried about the poor chickens that passed away and how they just got so injured and were, just stressed from, being, they didn't know what to do. This broke down semi full of chickens, helped in the heat by a kind-hearted mechanic and firefighters that hosed them down to keep them cool. When a truck broke down, combined with a hot day, put the lives of thousands of chickens at risk, firefighters stepped in to save the lives of many of the distressed birds, which are going to the slaughterhouse anyways, but so the meat wouldn't get sour, really. It all started on a Tuesday morning when a semi hauling 14,000 chickens broke down on I-90 near Elgin, Illinois. The truck lost a wheel and became disabled as temperature started to rise, endangering the tightly packed chickens in the trailer. Mechanic with Super Truck Service was able to respond and help the truck limp back to the shop by chaining up an axle. According to a report, mechanic Andrew Lux was worried about the fate of the overheated chickens and used a garden hose to spray them down in the trailer. Around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the Addison Fire Protection District spotted Lux spraying down the truckload of stranded birds and stepped in to provide assistance. Crews sprayed hundreds of gallons of water on the chickens. Rescuers were able to offload the chickens into shade at the shop and use fans to try to keep the birds cool. In spite of these efforts, between 500 and 1,000 of the birds died before they were loaded onto another truck to finish their journey. The birds are egg-laying hens that were being transported between two farms, say the firefighters. So they were not, my mistake, I stand corrected, they were not on the way to the slaughterhouse, they were egg layers. But don't eat eggs now because of this happening. The poor chickens were so stressed. They died. I know. I'm so mean. Like I said, I'm from the farm. Happens all the time. My mother used to, Dad used to catch the chicken. Mom used to take it on the butcher block, or in Polish, what we used to call a piniacek, with a meat cleaver and lop its head off, and then you got away from her and you had to chase the chicken around the yard so it wouldn't get all nasty. I know, don't laugh too hard. It was pretty funny watching my mother do that. But anyway, God rest her soul. Up next, though, there's a little humor. I'm trying to be better on the show. See, guys, I'm trying to put funny stories in here. And just wait till the rookie roundtable when I get that formatted. I'm still trying to get all my ideas together for that. So just wait till those stories come out. And up next, officials change traffic flow to reduce the congestion caused by that I-40 bridge shutdown. The Arkansas DOT, in partnership with the city of West Memphis, will be alternating traffic patterns in the hopes of easing congestion caused by extended closure of I-40 Mississippi River Bridge. They made the announcement back in beginning of June that they're making changes to eastbound West Memphis traffic patterns to ease traffic on I-55 bridge that many are using alternate route with the I-40 Mississippi River Bridge, also known as Hernando de Soto Bridge, closed due to structural damage. That crack that everybody saw. So this is the following traffic pattern changes that will be put into place until further notice. I-55 southbound will be reduced to a single outside lane just before the western I-40 I-55 interchange. I-40 eastbound already narrows to a single lane at that interchange at exit ramp 7th Street and Ingram Boulevard. Will be closed to I-40 traffic. Or I should say the exit ramps at those two exits will be closed. I-40 traffic will continue in the inside lane, and I-55 traffic will continue in the outside lane through Ingram Boulevard. The middle lane will be closed to separate eastbound traffic between the western and eastern I-40, I-55 interchanges. East of Ingram Boulevard, eastbound traffic will transition into two adjacent lanes. The I-40, I-55 on-ramp at Ingram Boulevard will be closed. Officials say that these changes will reduce merging points and in turn will hopefully cut down on the congestion. Just take 240 around. 40 to 240 south to 55 north to 40 back west if you're going west. East, take 55 south to 240 east, back to 240 north to 40 east. Just take that instead. Officials say that these changes will reduce merging points. I-40 Mississippi River Bridge was shut down in May after that inspection involved a crack in the structure. Bridge repairs are expected to last through late July at the earliest. It's not a crack. According to that picture, it's the whole damn beam that broke from the picture you see here. And look at this lawmaker, the governor of Connecticut, says, hey, it's fine if truckers go around Connecticut to avoid the controversial $90 million worth of truck miles tax. After lawmakers approved a plan to tax truckers for each mile they traveled in the state, Governor Ned Lamont took social media to let drivers know that he believes that his state will be better off without them. Really? Really? Okay, so that little suit that you're wearing, no more. What about Amazon? You know, you buy your stuff online. How is Amazon going to deliver it to you? How is UPS going to deliver it to you? Food in your stores? You forget it. Yeah, I'll go around you. Early on this Wednesday, June 10th, the Connecticut General Assembly approved a plan that would generate an estimated $90 million in revenue for the infrastructure, just like I spoke about. In response to the outcry from Republican lawmakers and from members of the trucking industry, Lamont on Wednesday posted a message on his official Twitter account letting truckers know that he's fine if drivers decide to avoid delivering goods to his state. Yeah, think about that when your store shelves are empty. The trucking lobby is threatening to have drivers go around Connecticut because of the highway user fee. That's fine. We'll have less air pollution, safer and better quality roads, and less people with asthma. Looks like the highway user fee is already working, the tweet reads. Yeah, I'll remind you of that when, like I said, when your store shelves are empty. In a video accompanying the tweet, Lamont says that Connecticut will still have the resources we need, even if truckers choose to avoid his state in response to the trucker tax. Those who oppose the highway use tax have pointed out that costs will be passed out to consumers and that the measure threatens the state's economic recovery in the wake of the pandemic. Nothing that the legislature would exempt dairy trucks from the tax. President of the Motor Transportation Association of Connecticut condemned the tax as a cash grab, which that's what it is. Connecticut is never going to see the money, he says, predicted for this bill, and this tax scheme will fail. Leading up to his election to the governor's seat in 2018, Lamont has repeatedly pushed for truck-only taxes as a source of infrastructure funding without success. Lamont's apparent attack on trucking comes following a year when the American people leaned on truckers to keep grocery store shelves filled, gas stations serviced with fuel, and medical supplies and vaccines delivered to their hospitals and clinics. Legislation is awaiting a signature from Lamont to be passed into law, which I'm sure he'll do. But yeah, you can forget about your car, having gas. You can forget about your vaccines and all the other masks, PPE, any other kind of medical stuff that you're going to need for your hospitals. Yeah, you can forget about all that. Numbnut. And in this story, 4 are killed and 9 are wounded in a crash involving a milk tanker truck. This accident involving a tanker truck hauling milk left 4 people dead and 9 people injured in Arizona. It happened June 10th around 5 in the morning. A tanker truck was hauling milk, encountered some early morning congestion, and was not able to slow in time. As a result, the tanker truck slammed into several vehicles, stopped in the traffic, and the tanker separated from the tractor before going over the concrete barrier wall. The truck then burst into flames, leaking diesel and milk. Another vehicle caught fire in the wreck as well. A total of 8 vehicles, including the commercial vehicle, semi, are involved in this collision. The tankers became separated from the tractor, crossed over the concrete barrier median wall into westbound traffic lanes, and came to rest on its side. The rest of the vehicles are all here on the eastbound side, said a Department of Public Safety spokesman. He was going so damn fast that he crushed that tanker. And the truck jumped the wall? The Jersey wall? Good Lord. There again, inattentive driving. I'm telling you. Inattentive driving. And now let's take the short break. This episode of Julia's Trucking Cafe is brought to you by My Patriot Supply. As truck drivers, we all know what it's like to be at a shipper's or receiver's and have to wait to be loaded for hours on end. Am I right? especially produce coolers and paper mills. That's why you need to be prepared with extra food in your truck, especially with the bad weather coming in, like it is over here in Kansas, up in the Dakotas and Minnesota. 90 was shut down, Interstate 94 was shut down, along with 29. What are you going to do if there's no food and a truck stop was without power? That's why you need to stay prepared with My Patriot Supply. Now, it's not what you're thinking. My Patriot Supply is delicious emergency food. They have food kits that are good up to 25 years. They come in a slimline tote that you can easily store in your food pantry or under your bunk. I can speak from experience. After living through Hurricane Katrina, we were without power for 10 days, me, my mother, and son, and I. If it weren't for the MREs that were flown into us, we wouldn't have any food. There was 4 60-foot pine trees that broke in half during that storm and crossed my driveway and landlocked me in. That's when My Patriot Supply would have come in handy. If I knew then what I know now about My Patriot Supply, I definitely have some of this food stockpiled in my pantry. Now, for a limited time, you could get a 1-week supply of food in a handy and neat-looking ammo can, like you see here, for just $39. Look at all that food you get. It's a week's worth of breakfast, lunch, and dinners, just for $39. How do you get it? Where do you go, do you ask? Well, I'll tell you. Just go to my website at juliastrucketcafe.com, click on the Emergency Food Supply tab, scroll down and click on any of the images to find out more information and get yours today. They even offer gluten-free food for under $100. Winter weather is here. What would you do if the interstate was shut down, just like I was talking about? You need to get My Patriot Supply and get it today. Welcome back to Julia's Trucker Cafe, part 2. Or dos. In this story, a truck stopped giant to drop the mask requirements for fully vaccinated customers. At the time of this recording, it's already been done. Love's Travel Stops announced the company will be ending face mask requirements for some customers' employees starting June 15th. Customers and employees who are fully vaccinated against the COVID-19 will no longer be required to wear a mask in Love's truck stop locations. I was talking about this with a friend of mine, and I asked her, I said, what are they going to do? When I walk in the door, are you going to ask me for my vaccination card? She said she didn't think so because of the fact of HIPAA violations, that they're just not going to say anything if you're vaccinated or not, because of the fact of being against the HIPAA vaccinations. Back to the article. Or I should say HIPAA laws, I'm sorry. Customers and workers who are not fully vaccinated will be asked to continue to wearing masks, the company says. Like I said, how are they going to know? Love's points out that many states, cities, and counties have their own mask requirements, and they will continue to comply with them. Love's has had a masking requirement in place for all customers and workers since July of 2020. Quote, the past 15 months have been challenging times, I'm so sick of that term, for customers and team members, so we're pleased the country has made such great strides against the pandemic to get to this point. End quote, said Love's president Shane Wharton. I'm sorry, yes, I'm putting goofy voices in here and stuff like this. You know, I'm opinionated, this is my show. And if you don't like it, well, you know what you can do. But this is malarkey. In my opinion. Quote, we will continue to be diligent about health and safety as ever before. We want to thank our customers for wearing masks in our stores and for the patience they've shown as we work toward this decision, end quote. Love says they will continue to practice stringent disinfection procedures, which you should do all the time, along with social distancing and the use of plexiglass barriers at store locations. In other words, spit shields. Yeah, I wouldn't want nobody... I used to work at a convenience store. I wouldn't want nobody spitting on me. Heck with that. And up next, a driver that plowed through a group of bicyclists is sentenced to a minimum of 16 years. A box truck driver responsible for plowing into a group of bicyclists in Nevada last year, I reported on this, has been sentenced to at least 16 years in prison. This happened outside of Las Vegas in December of 2020, killing 5 and injuring 4. See, listen to my show to stay in the know, people. The driver, Jordan Alexander Barson, had taken meth prior to the accident, was sentenced during a 2-day trial on Tuesday, June 8th and Wednesday, June 9th. According to the local news outlet, Barson apologized and asked for forgiveness during Tuesday's trial, along with his attorney, who said Barson did not get behind the wheel intending to cause harm, and despite having 9 times the amount of meth that would have been indicated impairment in his system at the time of the crash. 9 times the amount. In other words, he was stoned out of his gourd. Quote, knowing I caused the deaths of 5 people and severely hurt 2 others is unbearable most of the time, he told the court. Quote, I want you to know that I'm so truly sorry for what I've done. I know you will carry this pain. I'll carry this pain forever, and it breaks my heart that I caused this. Just be lenient on my sentence. Yeah, you'd get the frickin' death penalty if I was the judge. Yes, I believe the death penalty, too. While Clark County District Court Judge PETA Yeager acknowledged Barson's apology and regret, he stuck with the sentence agreed upon during April's trial. 2 counts of driving under the influence resulting in death with a minimum of 16 years in Nevada State Prison. That's it. So somebody's life was only worth 8 years of the guy killing him. That's it. Yeager said, you had no business driving. Mothers, fathers, siblings, spouses, children, nieces, nephews, and grandchildren, their lives are forever affected because of your poor choice. He was ordered to pay $60,000 of restitution, but his plea deal allowed him to avoid 14 potential felony charges that would have landed him life in prison. I would have threw the book at his ass. There was no excuse, none, for being a meth head. He's just going to get out at 16 years and still do it anyways. Didn't say how old he was, I don't believe. So, yeah. Not sorry is what he is. And up next, a truck driver is shot in a bowling alley parking lot. A Texas truck driver survived after he was shot during an altercation in a parking lot in California. This happened June 9th around 8 o'clock in the evening at a parking lot Surf Bowl in Oceanside. 53-year-old Texas-based truck driver was reportedly preparing to sleep in the lot in order to pick up a load in the morning when he was confronted by a man and women. The local newspaper described the man and woman as homeless. During the altercation, the truck driver was shot in the belly. He was later airlifted to a hospital for surgery and is expected to survive. Shortly after 10 a.m., police located the suspects and took them into custody. Tosh Bennett, 27, was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. The female suspect was arrested on a probation violation. The incident remains under investigation by the Oceanside Police Department. And some good news for a change. An Illinois trucking company just rewarded their top driver of 2021 with a brand new Harley. There you go. A truck driver was recently recognized by his company for his safety and professionalism behind the wheel. This content is sponsored by GT Express, but I figured it was a cool story. Normally, I don't report on these kind of stories because they are paid for ads in this news outlet. But anyway, back to the article, and now he's walking away with a brand new motorcycle. GT Express is a flatbed company out of Illinois, and they announced that Corey Stowe is the winner of the Best Company Driver of the Year award for 2021. That award is given to the driver who goes the extra mile to provide superior customer service while also focusing on safety and productivity. The company says a popular motorcycle giveaway is a way to show how much they appreciate the drivers who power GT Express towards success with their skill and hard work. Stowe selected an Indian, I'm sorry, not a Harley, but an Indian, my bad, an Indian motorcycle for his prize, and after receiving the keys from operations manager Eric Wheaton, Stowe was able to ride off the lot with his brand new badass bike. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It really, I mean, again, the way it is, the looks on there, and I'm not a motorcycle connoisseur, as you could tell, by any means. I am planning on getting my motorcycle license, though, and buy myself a deluxe, a Harley deluxe Softail. So I am looking at doing that. But anyway, on to the next. A trucking company owner in this article is arrested on suspicions of burning down his own business. A second man has been arrested in connection to an alleged arson at a West Virginia trucking company last year. Fire broke out on May 25th at Anytime Trucking that I just reported about and caused an estimated $60,000 in damages. Remember the older gentleman just got arrested? Well, the two of these guys were in cahoots, as they used to say, about this. After 13 months of a police investigation, the first suspect in the case, Elwood Lynn Hebb, that I just spoke about, turned himself in. And now 43-year-old Jason B. Collins, owner of the trucking company, was arrested and is being charged with 1 count of first-degree arson, 3 counts third-degree arson, and 1 count of burning insured property, and 1 count of conspiracy. Collins being held at the local jail in lieu of a $100,000 cash bond. And in this story, a Tennessee company shared an incredible dash cam video as troopers bust a windshield to rescue a driver following a head-on dump truck collision. And military personnel coming to the rescue after a serious crash. The crash occurred in Clarksville when a dump truck was struck by a vehicle, causing the dump truck driver to lose control and hit a Greenfield pavement coatings truck head-on. One of our trucks was involved in a serious accident today. It was said on a Facebook post. An accident started in oncoming traffic, which caused a triaxle dump truck to cross the center lane and hit our driver head-on. Thank God no one was seriously injured. Thanks to Clarksville's amazing police, fire, EMS, and our heroes at the military recruiting office who rushed to the scene and cut our driver out of the truck. Trucks are replaceable. Greenfield Pavement Coating also shared stunning dash cam video that captured both the head-on collision and the incredible quick response from the troopers at the scene to rescue the driver. And the video, again, you can watch in the show notes that will be listed in the post, or just go to juliastruckercafe.com, click on cafe menu, and scroll down to show notes, or else it's under the podcast category and then show notes. One of the two. And in this article, 2 people are found dead inside of a semi-truck stopped on a highway shoulder. 2 people were found dead inside of a semi-truck pulled over onto the shoulder of a highway in South Dakota. This happened June 8th. According to South Dakota Division of Criminal Investigation, they not released the identity of the 2 adults at that time, but suspect no foul play. They're not looking for suspects, nor is there any threat to the public at this time, and investigation is ongoing. They released autopsies have been completed, but no details regarding cause of death have been released. So that is too bad. And check this out. Coors is giving away free beer and a 77 Firebird in the Bandit scavenger hunt. An iconic beer brand is giving away free brews and a vintage car as a part of a Smokey and the Bandit theme promotion. Starting on Friday, June 11th, Coors Banquet is sending fans on a virtual scavenger hunt with a pretty epic prize. Coors Banquet is hiding the keys to a manual transmission black Pontiac Firebird in a secret location in Colorado, and on June 11th, it will provide 5 clues that, once answered, will direct them to another location with another clue, the last of which is where the keys are hidden. First person to find the keys will win the car and free Coors banquet for a year, said the company in a news release. Contest expires after 72 hours. Sorry, I'm a little late on that one. So one day I'll get caught up with all this. And a trucker's wife sadly lost her husband in a wreck and also her 2 dogs. Recently, a widowed truck driver wife is asking for help in locating her 2 dogs who were lost in a semi-truck wreck that took her husband's life. This happened May 30th near Friendship, Arkansas. According to local news, Beverly Shelton and her late husband were traveling westbound down Interstate 30 in their big rig when a tire blew, causing them to lose control. The accident left Beverly injured, causing her husband to lose his life, and spooked their 2 toy poodles, Maggie and Lily, into running away. Now Beverly's back home in Terre Haute, Indiana, awaiting surgery, but is hoping she can be reunited with her beloved dogs. If you have seen these dogs or any place around the Arkansas area in Friendship, Arkansas, please contact Beverly at 812-230-8609. And immediately after the accident, back to the article, a police officer saw 2 small dogs running alongside the interstate but did not realize they were from the wreck he was responding to. Since then, there's been no sign of them. But a post asking for help has been shared on Facebook, offering a reward for the dog's safe return. And check this out. Remember I reported on AI and how it could detect you smoking or on the cell phone? Well, now Omnitrax releases driver-facing camera tech that uses AI, artificial intelligence, to detect smoking and if you're wearing sunglasses. Trucking tech provider Omnitrax debuted a new driver-facing camera system that can reportedly use machine learning and AI to detect multiple distracted driving behaviors while a truck driver is behind the wheel. On June 10th, Omnitrax announced the debut of Smart Sense for Inattentive Driving Plus, which uses integrated cam-facing cameras and sensors, employed AI and computer vision to detect suspected sleeping, drowsiness, cell phone usage, smoking, and general inattention, alerting drivers to take action to avoid a collision, end quote. The company says that distracted driving AI is developed using data from more than 300 million analyzed driving safety events and more than 30 billion driving miles across all transportation sectors. They need to put this shit in cars. Don't worry about commercial vehicles. They need to put it in cars. Quote, and have your insurance company tap in and watch you driving. Quote, using 2 cameras built into a single unit, the solution provides complete visibility of the entire cab, details of the driver's face, eyes, and hands to identify drowsiness, sleep, phone use, cigarette use, seatbelt use, and other safety-critical behaviors. It is only with 2 cameras that a fleet truly knows if a driver is inattentive or not, even if the driver is wearing sunglasses, it continued. Inattention is a pandemic, and one that has become increasingly worse, they said. Smart Sense for Inattentive Driving Plus addresses this problem head-on using advanced technologies and analytics to keep our drivers safe and help all of us get home safely. Again, they're blaming the commercial driver for all of the, inattentive driving. Put the damn phone down, guys, and pay attention to what the hell you're doing and rotate your head. And car drivers as well. Turn your head to the left when you're merging onto traffic. Don't just try to look in your mirror, rotate your head around in a circle, trying to look through your little bitty mirror when all you have to do is look over your shoulder. You learn that in driving 101. But apparently people forget what they learned in class. I digress. And yes, I could rant. It's my show. And in this story, this happened in England. God forbid it would happen over here. But I have reported on it a year or so ago that drivers have done this over here as well. But anyway, a trucker parks beneath the bridge to break the fall of a man apparently looking to end it all. A truck driver parked his rig beneath a bridge in England recently in an attempt to help out a man who was looking to end his life by falling to the ground below. A trucker was traveling on M62 highway when he noticed a man sitting on the railing of a bridge above the road. The driver then drove his rig beneath the man and parked, ensuring that the distance between the suicidal man and the ground was substantially less dangerous and demonstrating that someone cares. While not widely covered on the news, a passerby was able to snap this photo of the situation and spread it across social media, bringing attention to both the heroic acts of the driver and the need for better mental health care. Quote, "What a driver, stopping on the hard shoulder and leaving his truck there to ensure when he did jump it wasn't a long distance to the ground." End quote. Well done to the driver. It brings back some faith in humans. Mental health issues are awful and we need better support rather than let it get to this stage, said another. Great job, driver. And multiple overnight truck fires in Illinois prompt an arson investigation. Officials in Illinois are investigating multiple truck fires overnight at two separate locations. Firefighters responded to calls about a vehicle fire overnight into Friday at a Countryside Closeouts retail liquidator in Springfield, Illinois. By the time the crews were able to arrive on scene, one truck had become completely engulfed and was destroyed. The fire spread to at least one other truck. No injuries were reported. The local news reports that a second truck fire was reported less than a mile from the first. The outlet reports that the bed of the utility truck caught fire and that by the time firefighters arrived on scene, the entire vehicle was engulfed in flames. This truck fire was also being investigated for possible arson. And this story, FMCSA bans a truck driver from operating in the U.S. after a fatal DUI crash. And my bad, I just caught this. I didn't change the picture. Oops. But anyway, I'll tell you about the story anyways. So if you're watching the video, that's the wrong picture. See, even I still screw up. But anyway, the FMCSA has declared a Mexican-based truck driver an eminent hazard to public safety. On June 9th, they issued Cecilio Ilia Camacho Montoya, boy, what a mouthful, a federal order prohibiting him from operating a commercial vehicle in this country. The order was issued following an investigation into a crash that occurred on May 19th in Idaho. According to the FMCSA, Montoya was operating a truck with an expired Mexican-issued CDL when he reportedly failed to stop for a traffic light at the intersection of Highways 55 and 44. His truck struck another vehicle, causing the driver fatal injuries. In other words, the other driver died. Montoya is facing charges of felony aggravated driving under the influence, DUI, and felony vehicle manslaughter in Idaho. Investigators also discovered that Montoya had falsified his records of duty status or his hours of service and exceeded the allowable on-duty driving hours permitted by federal regulations on multiple occasions leading up to that crash. Montoya must complete the statutory required return to duty process overseen by a substance abuse professional before he's allowed to return to operating commercial vehicles in the U.S., which he's just going to run back to Mexico and keep on driving. So anyway, so disregard the photo again if you're watching the video. Oops, my bad. And our last story of this session, this episode of Julia's Trucker Cafe, respect and honor how Truckers Final Mile organization goes the extra mile for drivers in need. I figure we would end on a high note. The loss of a driver while on the road or a driver's inability to get home to their family in a time of crisis is painfully stressful and complex. Truckers Final Mile does everything in its power to help alleviate the financial and emotional burdens of drivers and their families. January of 2018, while on a delivery in Utah, a veteran driver passed away far from his home in Phoenix, Arizona. His family was in a predicament. The cost, the distance, the details, it was a nightmare of logistics compounded by grief. But the driver's brother knew what to do. He reached out to Robert Palm, CEO and founder of Truckers Final Mile. His brother later posted a tribute to the aid that truckersfinalmile.org rendered to his family. Quote, "Not only did they help with the cremation, they assisted in getting my sister a flight to Utah to view him and escort his remains home." End quote. He remembers that to add to the stress, the grief family of 9 siblings were concerned that their 90-year-old mother would pass away because of the turmoil and grief surrounding the loss of her son. The late driver's brother remembers that, quote, "During this process, Robert listened and helped accommodate several schedule changes, even a last-minute flight change, so that my sister could return early to care for our ill mom," end quote. And in honor of the deceased driver's military service, Robert arranged for my brother's ashes to be presented to our mom by the Patriot Guard along with an American flag, as my brother was a retired Army serviceman. We were treated with respect, care, and always with the utmost dignity throughout. We are so grateful. Truckers Final Mile has received the spot as a top professionally rated charity in the trucking industry, and the organization has truly earned those stripes. In the event of a driver that's disabled by an accident they have on the job, Truckers Final Mile tailors the trucker's home to accommodate their disability needs. One driver had a major collision while on the road, and Truckers Final Mile stepped in to partner with a local church, building a wheelchair ramp onto the driver's home. They also provided the children of deceased drivers with Christmas presents, even giving a college scholarship to the youngest of these recipients. They help drivers facing an immediate emergency at home by coordinating and funding transportation to truckers so they could get home to take care of their family. In one instance, they helped the driver get home safely when he found out his wife was stage 4 cancer and she was dying. Another time, they helped the driver with air transportation when they found out a family member was in a serious accident. They flew them home to Atlanta from Oklahoma City, where the driver was out on the job. Recently, at a Turning Point Summit, CEO of the National Transportation Institute recognized the outstanding work of Truckers Final Mile with a $2,500 donation. "We are proud to partner with NTI by matching their contribution," said this news outlet. After the donation was announced, it was inspiring that the company Roadrunner spoke up immediately to contribute $1,000 to the cause, and they challenged other companies to step up to do the same. It's encouraging to see the trucking industry rally around such a fantastic organization, and by extension, its drivers. We encourage you to get involved with truckersfinalmile.org if you are able. If you haven't already, donations may be made in support of this vital organization. Just go to truckersfinalmile.org. That's truckers, plural, finalmile.org. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you who tune in to listen to me each week here on the cafe. If you wouldn't mind, please subscribe using the link below, or on CloudHub, please subscribe at the top of the page. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. As I said, please, if you wouldn't mind, stop in if you're on Facebook and give us a like on Facebook. Also join our discussion group at Julia's Trucking Cafe Regulars. And if you wouldn't mind, subscribing to our newsletter at juliastruckingcafe.com/newsletter. So thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time. You have been listening to Julia's Trucking Cafe Truckin' News Hour. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Take care. Have a blessed day.